All right, we're doing it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 257, almost lost it, of Opinions May Vary. I'm your host, JR, my co-host with me, Alex.
Hello.
And it's Justice. It's a Just Us Justice. And we're going to be talking about comic books today. Mostly. Well, I mean, that tends to happen.
Yeah.
During the Justice, because all I want to do is just talk about comic books. Because you're my comic book pal.
Aw, thanks.
You know? Know what I mean?
I'm catching up.
You are.
I've been doing other stuff, and my to-read pile has grown and grown and grown. I didn't realize it's not an only me problem, because I thought it was only me.
Plenty of men suffer
from not reading all the comics. In the past, I know Justin has talked about, like, he has a stack that he just hasn't gotten to yet.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I think a couple months ago, Brett posted a picture of
It was
comics.
like a bag of comics.
Yeah. Brett posted a picture of stuff he hasn't read yet. And then, like, what followed was a series of pictures. Mine, Justin, a couple other people, also with a box of stuff, like, that they wanted to read but just haven't had the time to get into. Because when they come out monthly, at some point you get so far ahead, it's like, well, I'm 10 issues behind now. And, like, do I make the time to read all 10? Do I try to catch up one at a time? Or do I want to read these other books first instead?
Right. It's gotten to the point where, because we read some of the same books,
Mm-hmm.
and when I know we read some of the same books, I want to hear your opinion on it, because I'm a child. And I immediately, I start to ask Alex, I'm like, hey, have you read the new? And it's turned into, when I get to the new, he says no. Because it used to be, did you read the new, Inhumans? And every now and then it was, yeah. And I'd be like, hey, the reader's badass. Which is my knowledge of the Inhumans.
But then I had to realize that you only pick up Uncanny and not All New.
I don't read All New, yeah.
Which I think
Yeah.
stopped.
Did it?
Yeah.
Wish they could.
Well, they had to make room for other things.
And now they're doing the crossover.
Yeah.
Like the Inhumans versus X-Men, which I don't really... It's whatever. I'm still buying the main Inhumans book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I've been reading, like, significantly more Marvel now these days. By significantly more, I think I've read 4 books. But it's more than Justice League and Green Lantern, which I'm currently reading on DC, and that's it.
There's been a couple of things that show up in the news. Like, I'm not going to look them up and cite, like, sources right now. But I saw a thing about supposedly there's, like, pallets worth of covers coming back to DC because they were releasing stuff with a return policy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so this way, stores could just over-order,
Yeah.
and then just return, what didn't sell.
I wonder if there's a like a markdown. Is that the right word?
I'm
like,
not sure.
Can they say they buy it at $1.50 an issue?
Mm-hmm.
Could they return it for $1 an issue? Like, I wonder if there was like a decrease in what they can return it for, or if it's like what they paid for it.
And then, meanwhile, there's other, like, headlines that say DC was doing well or its numbers were inflated. Meanwhile, Marvel has had, like, the worst quarter in years. And part of my thing is, like, well, they did a number 2. Like, Secret Wars 1 was real popular.
Right.
It's a collector's baby, You got all the Secret Wars. You got your first black suit. That's really important.
I do.
And then
I do have that. It's the one issue of Secret Wars that I have.
And then it was like, that works so well, guys. Let's do it again.
Right.
So we're going to have Secret Wars 2. You could buy the full set for like $2. It's like 12 issues of Secret Wars 2. Like under $5 probably you could get it for. So, that means a real good idea. Civil War 2.
I was just going to say, then they did Civil War 2.
So it's like, I'm not really surprised if their sales are bad. Cause
they killed the Hulk, right?
So,
supposedly.
Plus, I haven't kept up on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So he might have been back already. I'm
really
not sure.
You can't get rid of the Hulk forever. I mean, Wolverine was gone for how long, and then Old Man Logan happened. Oh, Wolverine's back, just in a different way.
Oh, that's not Wolverine, though.
It's Wolverine, sort of.
But it's not.
It's alternate timeline Wolverine in current...
But that means it's not Wolverine.
Right. His body's still somewhere encased in adamantium.
Yeah. But that was absolutely no surprise to me. because people, and there's been like other people from like in the industry who are like Civil War 2's bad because like they're just doing stuff that doesn't make sense and why they went this way that way. Yeah.
Do you ever get nervous that everything? I get this from way back in the day. I had a subscription to Guitar World.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And they did like a reader's poll on like the best this of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they highlighted was somebody wrote in, everything that is good has been done. And like, do you ever think comics would get to that point? Like, how many times can you do a big crossover? And like, typically with a crossover, someone dies.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's at the beginning to incite the crossover or at the end to like as a holy shit moment, like they almost like follow a formula, like huge event, gather the troops, everyone's working together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We did it, but oh God, at what cost?
That was really good. I'm almost emotional wondering what happened. That's right on. It's gotten unfortunate because we know what it is. We know it's comics. And no one stays dead anymore.
Yeah, I mean, to quote Max Landis, I guess.
Comics kill death?
Well, yeah, the death of Superman killed death in comics because they just you can do whatever you want. Like, it's so commonplace for someone to die. And it, like, remember, spoilers if you're not up with the new Green Lantern book, a couple, like, 7 or 8 issues ago, Hal Jordan exploded. Oh, no. He exploded.
Mm-hmm. He
exploded into pure willpower and blew up Warworld with Sinestro and everything included.
Okay.
He's back. Oh, he was just like living in like this will zone where all the dead Green Lanterns go, but he didn't want it. Oh, they get Kyle Rayner to show up and he's the White Lantern and I pulled him out. He's cool.
Well, that shouldn't be a surprise because we know we have the White Lantern. So.
Exactly. They killed Kyle Rayner a couple years ago. I remember it actually popped up on my timeline last month because Justin had posted way back on my timeline. He's like, "I'm sorry for your loss." And it was like the panel of like dead Kyle Rayner. He was back the next issue. Like it's just it's gotten to the point where I don't trust it anymore. Even like we just said with Wolverine. Wolverine's dead-ish. I'm still reading Old Man Logan on a month. I think it's bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's still a Wolverine book, and they'll bring him back.
Well, I read the X-23 Wolverine book.
I was telling a friend of mine that you're a big fan of that book.
Yeah. That's one that I'm almost caught up on.
All new Wolverine, right?
Yeah. I'm only 2 issues behind now. Whereas, like, I'm like 40 issues behind on Catwoman.
Do they still make a Catwoman book?
I don't know.
I'm not even joking.
I'm not sure.
I legitimately don't know.
I picked up like 1 issue last week, but it might have been like a one-shot or a one-off or something. One thing I realized the other day, that they haven't brought Banshee back yet from the X-Men.
Did he die?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He died a while ago when Vulcan first showed up. It was like a 5-issue mini, deadly something, not important, Vulcan's already gone, who cares? But like he flew a plane into Banshee.
Ow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think he's come back yet.
Couldn't tell you.
Which, I mean, he appeared in...
He's in the movie. He's in First Class, right?
Yeah.
Sort
was
of.
that a guy? That was a guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he just yelled. That was him yelling, by the way.
I think he appeared in the first 10 issues of X-Men.
Like the original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been around that long.
Right.
I think it was the first 10. Don't quote me. One time, I got taken.
Oh.
I was had. I bought some books off of a person on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was getting a deal because I saw the cover. It's the first appearance of Banshee.
Yeah.
The first appearance.
Yeah.
There's some other like kind of oldish books in the lot too. There's only like 10 books or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought it, looked at the cover, it looks good. It's not too beat up. Take it home, go to switch out of the dummy bag it was in to put in a new bag. And on the back cover has an ad for Stridex.
Which is not from like the 1950s.
60s.
60s.
Yeah. That was it was a reprint.
Yikes.
I picked up a reprint. So, like, it came in, like, one of the action figure boxes or something. So, next time you think you're going to find gold, look at the print date inside. That'll be your key. Like, I didn't overpay too much, and there's a chance I could be a piece of shit and trick somebody else and resell it and let them think it's first edition. I mean, I understand that would make me a bad person, but other people should do their homework like I didn't. What you looking for?
I'm taking a look to see if Banshee has popped up.
Okay.
I'm checking Wikipedia. Cassidy has been resurrected under the control of villains twice before being restored to life by a celestial death seed. He's recruited by the Apocalypse Twins.
Oh, the Apocalypse Twins.
As part of their new Horsemen of Death. Following the Apocalypse Twins' defeat, Banshee is in the X-Men's custody and placed under medical bay of Avengers Mansion. Beast concludes that healing Banshee of the Death Seed energy that made him a Horseman of Death will take years and highly advanced technology. That's the end of his Wikipedia article.
In the meantime, he might be a bad guy.
Oh, shit.
Huh. Well, there you go. You see, he doesn't state that either.
Yeah, apparently.
Thanks, Apocalypse Twins.
Good old Apocalypse Twins. Anyways, so in regard to comics, there is a birthday, I guess, this month with Image Comics turning 25. I did want to briefly touch on Image Comics because I like Image Comics. They make up, I'd say, at least easily a third of my readership.
Oh, man.
What?
So that means when they first started making comics,
I was 5.
I was 11.
Yep. When those, what is it, like 6 or 7 dudes?
Yeah, I think it was 7.
Like, I mean, I gotta say what you will about them. We all have our opinions on most of those guys.
Mm.
For the most part, they're good dudes.
Yeah.
They took a huge risk. Can you imagine, like today? Like, oh man, Jeff Johns, Jonathan Hickman,
Mark Miller.
Miller.
Oh, he already has his own thing, actually.
Scott Snyder. Like, oh my God, they're all quitting the big two. And they're making their own. They're making their own comic label. Oh, they're gonna fail. You can't quit. Like, this is at a time when like there was Marvel and DC and like nothing.
Yeah. Like, Dark Horse has always been an outlier.
Right.
But they don't compete for the same exact audience. But they're present, but they just don't have the volume to match.
But these dudes quit. Some of the biggest, like, arguably the biggest names at the time, like Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Eric Larson,
Wills Portasio.
I can't remember.
Are we bad geeks if we don't know this?
No, I don't think we are, because there's a lot of them. Image Comics founders. I spelled it founds. Let's see here. Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, Jim Lee, Wills Portasio, Mark Silvestri, Todd McFarlane, Jim Valentino.
Valentino Silvestri, we missed.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Can we name the founding fathers of the country?
The founding... No. Washington. Franklin. But, like, these guys decide, like... they up and quit. Was it, like, over, like, page rates? Like, was it over pay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like...
So, 25 years ago, there wasn't crowdfunding. There was barely internet. There wasn't internet. It just wasn't. And so, like, everything that is available to creators now to kickstart their own book or, you know, to go to Image alone and, like, have their book made, to pitch the idea, there really wasn't many other publishers willing to set that up and do that work. Like, there's been a couple that's tried, because I brought this up to some friends when I talk about Craigslist and comic books or whatever, or when I do auctions or flea markets, and I'll have friends that will be like, hey, I bought some comics, like, you want to take a look at them, or I want to sell my old comics, they're really old. And I'll be like, what do you got? And they go, I've got Malibu and Ultraverse. And I say, just burn it. Just set it on fire. But Malibu, Ultraverse, CrossGen, these are all companies that like tried to make a go of it. You know, they tried to doing their own thing. And ultimately it didn't work out. Or it did, because some of them just got bought out. But they never made it in the same way that Image did.
Yeah. And like there's, we're here 25 years later, and I mean, at least personally, like at least 3 of their books that just off the top of my head are like 3 of my go-tos, like my favorites, as far as like Invincible, Walking Dead, Saga, Chew. Chew just recently ended. That was an Image book.
When we talk about our best ofs, like for the year end, like I know I said East of West was one of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I've been into all the Jonathan Hickman series.
Did you read Black Monday Murders?
No.
I think he wrote that. It's like based off like it's like the stock market and stuff, but there's like it's a weird book. But I really like the way it's done. Brett is a big fan of it too. I believe that was Hickman.
I've been reading Manhattan Projects. I've got the trades.
Right. Yep.
And I've got a bunch of other stuff, but
they just make really good books. And like even like look at Walking Dead. It is Hickman, by the way, on Black Monday Murders. But like look at Walking Dead. Like there's like, Marvel shows and DC shows on TV, and then Walking Dead comes out, once every 6 months and just shatters its previous record of like, the highest watch, whatever. Everyone's talking about it. Like, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fit, like, it's more of a niche thing. Like, oh my God, do you see the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Whereas, I go into work the next day and everyone's talking about Walking Dead.
That's both like, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, it's been reported that like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s viewership has been plummeting.
Right. Like
every episode, every season just gets lower and lower than the last. And it's unfortunate because I think they're doing some neat things, and I have been kept intrigued by it.
Yeah.
And they're doing what they can without like tapping into the most of the universe. And like they had Ghost Rider for a while, but the budget to have a Ghost Rider was getting too high, so they just cut that. Meanwhile, Walking Dead is doing its thing, and people are like, it's gotten to be too much. It's too violent. It's just gore porn now. I don't want to watch. It's
misery porn.
Like, you have to change it now. And like Walking Dead's like, all right, we'll change the show because people don't like it. But yet they're still watching. Everyone's still talking about it. You have enough of viewership to talk about it and decide that something's wrong with it. Like, it's a good problem to have.
Remember how furious people were when the previous season when Negan shows up and he bonks someone but you don't know who it is?
Yeah.
I remember everyone would say, "Oh, I hate Walking Dead. That show sucks.
Yeah.
It's misery porn. I'm never watching it again."
Well, apparently the entire season's been that way. 6
months later, yeah. I mean, ultimately the show kind of lost me once they made it to the place with the cannibals. I can't remember the name of it. Yep, exactly. I mean, I've read every issue of the comic. Like, I own every issue of the comic from 50 and up. Which I'm pretty proud of, by the way. That's like, when you start out, we're gonna get into collecting comics soon, but like, when you're new, you don't own full runs of anything. Like, oh yeah, I picked up Green Lantern issue like 26. Like, whereas like Walking Dead, someday, like I just whittling away, getting my full run. It's never gonna happen.
I typed in "welcome to" and nothing's come up. Dang it.
It's
Tranquility?
Terminus. Got it.
There it is.
Nailed it. I just keep thinking about Maggie writing in blood, Glenn, go to Terminus. But ultimately the show kind of lost me. I guess I just got a little bit bored. And like, I don't know. I like the comic a lot. Even the comic got a little bit boring, and then Negan showed up, and I was like, yep, Hunter, I'm right back in.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it just goes like... And Image has all these books like Spawn, Savage Dragon, Walking Dead, Invincible,
that haven't stopped.
all in triple figures.
Yeah,
especially like Savage Dragon, wasn't that like one of the founding books?
That and Spawn, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like they're still going.
Mm-hmm.
And Larson's been on Savage Dragon the whole time, if I recall.
But part of the thing I feel with that is like the good way of doing a comic book, because they didn't branch out too much. They didn't overextend their reach. I think there's been like one offshoot of Savage Dragon for the Freedom Force team or whatever they were called. And like there was Spawn, and for a while like they were going a little crazy because then Angela had her own book, and there was like Anti-Spawn
The
had
movie.
a book, and not even that. Like you can promote the character, but I mean, so you need to keep a story interesting. You need to keep continuing a story, and Invincible has pretty much been Invincible the entire time.
Right.
So like we had a 3-issue mini of Adam Eve and Rexplode, and it was
Guardians of the Globe. And
but like we didn't get Guardians of the Globe until he hit like almost 100 issues, right?
I think it was more like probably around like the 70s or 80s, possibly.
But like I feel like they resisted
Right.
until they got to a certain point. Whereas, I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't many Spawn comics. There were, but like it's narrowed down to stay with a prime title. Whereas when you look at other companies, and it's like, hey, Red Sonja's doing really well. Let's do Blaze of Red Sonja, and let's do She-Devil Red Sonja, and Red Sonja meets Cull, and Red Sonja meets
We're
Conan.
gonna Batman it.
Red Sonja meets Spider-Man. And so now you go to the shop and you go to buy your issue of Green Hornet, and there's 12 issues to pick from because there's 12 different stories. And unfortunately, like, let's dump on Rob Liefeld for a bit.
Oh,
He sets up because Image was like a bunch of smaller studios. So there's Extreme Studios and there's Wildstorm Studios. So Rob's like, we're going to do Youngblood, and then we're going to do Team Youngblood, and then Team Strike Alpha Youngblood. And then, you know what? Let's make the Pact. Let's make Brigade. And all he does is like he just makes a team and then hands it off to someone else. And then he's done with it. He's like, I'm the creator, cash that check. And then like there's some dumb schmucks who are like, what am I going to do now? And Rob never goes back to it, and the thing fails. And you just burn out your ideas. Because like I figure Kirkman has many ideas, but they're spread out and they're primarily sticking to those books. So like he's doing Thief of Thieves stuff in Thief of Thieves, and he's doing Invincible stuff in Invincible, but like he's not making the short-term cash grab of doing one Invincible book every week of the month. You know, he wants to play the long game.
even with the massive success of Walking Dead, it's been Walking Dead. Like he had the Michonne origin and the Governor like one shot. Remember those?
There was the novel too. Did he write that, or was that someone else?
He's written a bunch of. There's been a lot of novels.
Really?
And I believe they were taken over.
Because the Governor had one.
Yeah, there was Rise of the Governor, Part 1 and Part 2. There's Fall of the Governor, Road to Woodbury. I used to work in a bookstore, Alex. There's a lot of Walking Dead novels. And
Okay.
I don't think he writes them anymore.
It's like the Star Wars novels. Like
Yeah,
George Lucas doesn't write novels.
exactly. And I don't think he even... I think he... Even the first couple, I think he wrote them with some... If I recall, I can't remember. But, like, as far as the comic goes, like, there's a Michonne one-shot and the Governor one-shot. But other than that, it's been Walking Dead. He could have done like what the show did with Fear of the Walking. Oh my God! Look at this side story of other survivors.
Yeah.
He easily could have cashed in on that shit.
Are they connected?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many other story like things he could have. You know, for all I know, maybe that's in the works. Who knows? But like Walking Dead has been Walking Dead. You get a zombie story with these characters. You know, sometimes it can get a little stale, but like he just keeps it going, which is admirable. You know, it's especially like with Kirkman's status and the books that he puts out. Although he's ending Invincible, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Like the first issue of the last 12 came out yesterday.
So we have 11 more.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
There's 11 more. Yeah. I mean, it's I do really like that book, and it's gonna be a damn shame when that book stops. Like, although I'm really excited to see what Ryan Otley does next, because Ryan Otley.
I feel like it's so big you can just start back over again.
Yeah. My Invincible hardcovers are like one of those few books that like I frequently resort to, like when I'm just like bored and I want to thumb through something.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself always looking through Ex Machina
Mm-hmm.
and my Invincible books. Like, just it's such a God, it's a good book, and like it the way it progresses, you know, like
Mhm.
it just I dig it. Anyways,
We've talked about it in the past.
exactly. Yeah, Image Comics is 25 years old, which is rad because, in my opinion, they put out probably the best books on the market. You know, and they come out with like the original stories, which is what I really dig.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I attribute if you would attribute that to their success is because like they're creator owned, and like you can create your own characters and you can just go with your story. Like you can make a book about a dude who bites people and then can solve detective cases about it, you know. And then the CW can rip off your book with, although it was a comic before, it was a TV show with iZombie.
That was in 2010.
Yeah, Chew was 2009, I think, is when it debuted. But either way,
Well, zombies have been a big thing for a while.
yeah.
But like you were saying before, like at what point does it get cliche? So like how many things have happened in Invincible where it's like, well, that's not a surprise, compared to it being like, oh, dang.
Right.
How did character X get her leg back?
Exactly. Dude, not the issue that came out yesterday, the one that came out before that, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a quick turnaround to the new issue because Otley's back on the book.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey Walker, for the record, was amazing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And someday I would love to have him. Like I want to pick his brain just about Invincible and his art. But there was, like, at the end of that issue, Corey Walker's last issue, was like, what the like, it... The ending was kind of meh, but like the happenings in that issue was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. It was like, how is this happening right now?
One of the earlier Invincible, when he's fighting Angstrom, and like the team shows up on that deserted planet and saves him.
Yeah.
And Robot like takes his helmet off, and Eve is like, "Shut up, Rex," and it's like,
wait, what?
Rex becomes Robot? Why does Rex become Robot? Does he not explode anymore? And you don't know what happens. And then, like, books and books and books.
A while later.
Years later. You know, spoiler alert, Rexplode dies, and Robot used his DNA to clone himself into a normal person. And that's why he's Rex. But at the so much foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. Even with...
Which is one of those things that, like... and you don't see it happening, so you don't know if it's a cliche or not.
Yeah.
In the Ultimates comics, who I think I don't remember who it was. Someone had a run on Ultimate X-Men. I'm getting stuck if it was Joss Whedon, Brian K. Vaughan, or Kevin Smith.
Couldn't tell you.
But one of them decided...
I'm a fan of all of them.
They were going to have Cable show up in Ultimate X-Men. Cable comes back from the future to do stuff, and you find out that he's Wolverine from the future who lost his healing factor. Yeah. And it's like, that's really cool. That's a different guy. He's doing he's fighting Wolverine, but he's fighting himself, but he's not going to let him know that, but Wolverine can smell it. You know. And it's like, that was a really cool thing. But, you know, is it time travel? Who is it? Mystery? You know, has that become a thing that you see coming or not?
Right.
But and we're talking about Invincible and Image.
Yeah. I like Invincible. I like Image. They put out damn good, but it's gotten to the point where, like, if I see a #1 on the stands and it's from Image, I'll probably buy it. Just because it's like, for the most part, they make really good stories.
To celebrate their 25th anniversary, they're doing variant covers.
Right.
Some of these I support. Some of these I hate. Because they're iconic covers. If you've been a fan for any length of time, you're going to recognize them.
Right.
So like Deadly Class, which has been pretty good. I have the first 2 trades. Their cover is like an homage of Cyberforce #1, So like the title is the same as Cyberforce, like the font looks the right, and like all the characters are in the pose of the original Cyberforce characters. And it's like, I get it. If you were a fan back then, you'll appreciate it now if you've ever seen Fire Cyberforce. And the same for God Country, that's doing Savage Dragon. And there's other ones, but then it gets to a point where it's like East of West got stuck, and I wonder if it's a thing of like, did they draw straws, or like do you just hope that it's not that one? It's like, please don't let me get Liefeld. Don't let me get Liefeld. Anything. Ah, damn it! And then you realize you got stuck with a Liefeld cover, and like you have to draw that now because East of West did the Shaft cover, where Shaft from Youngblood he's the bow and arrow guy. But for some reason, he has these huge, ridiculous boots. The one time Liefeld decides to draw feet, he ruins that too. It's so bad, and like
it's like the Power Glove.
Like, as much of a fan as I am of East of West, I wouldn't ever want to own this issue. It's embarrassing. Everything, the anatomy is terrible, but he's drawing it just like it was the Rob Liefeld version.
Right. And, I mean, to be fair, you recognize it.
Yeah. I do.
I mean, at the time, like we dump on him now. We've dumped on him a lot. We've also praised him a lot in the past year.
Mm-hmm.
Say we love about his art. We have. And his personality. But, like, he works it at cons. Got to give him that. Seems to give a shit about his fans. But at the time, he was a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the go-to. Holy shit, it's Rob Liefeld.
It's also clever because looking at some of these, like, we will also recognize Invincible #1. So then when I see this book called Curse Words using Invincible, getting that homage cover, I'm like, what's that about? Why do you merit the Invincible?
What'd you do? How'd you get this?
Now I'm interested. Walking Dead got Wildcats. And,
right, yep.
And Killer Be Killed got Walking Dead. So it's like, what's that about? But
I recently joined like this comic collecting subreddit. Like, it's just, I'm getting into Reddit more, which is equal parts terrifying and
could be a dangerous slope.
Exactly, but there's a subreddit that I had subscribed to, and it was like about comic collecting. And someone posted a picture of their CGC signature series 9.8 Invincible #1.
Ooh.
And I was like, yo, that's rad. He's like, oh, hey, I just picked this up. Someone in the comments was like, yo, how much did you get that for? He said, I bought it slabbed for $100. And I was like, what the fuck? And then
If you had told me,
I noticed the Larry's Wonderful World of Comics on it. I was like, oh my god, thank
God. So there's two prints of Invincible #1. I have one of them. It's not the good one. I also have the Larry's comics.
It's still worth a little bit of money. But it's at the end of the day, it's a reprint.
Yeah.
But like, it's still worth a good, like, he got it. He bought it for $100.
Mm-hmm.
It's slabbed and signed, which is really neat. But he still paid 3 figures for it. Which is, I've never paid more than 3 figures for a single comic book.
I can't say the same.
Well, I mean, you also have a much more impressive collection than I do. And, like, I'm more... Actually, this is a good segue, too. Image, happy birthday, 25 years. I did want to talk about, like, comic collecting. I was looking at, like, your stand.
I rearranged a few things.
I noticed that. That's why it caught my eye. Like, I wanted to talk about comic collecting, and, like, we kind of have different goals, I guess.
Okay.
In that, like, I am so new. Like, when I see a book on the stands and it's like, for example, like that Fantastic Four with Gorgon. Is it the first Gorgon? I don't.
It's not the first, but it's close.
But like, I look at a book like that, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I would never buy it though, because like those books don't mean much to me because
right.
like I guess I'm so new. But like, if you show me like, yo, is that Walking Dead number 6? Let me take a look at that.
Well, you recognize that better than I do.
But like
when we go to a convention and like we're looking at the vendors and they have their big wall of comics, and like there's a bunch of Walking Dead, I was like, hey, what's that one? And you're like, which one? It's like the blue one. Like, oh, that's the first Tyrese.
That was awesome. That was completely unscripted. We gave ourselves some hot sex stares. So, but like, it's the same thing with like, you could look at that's it happened at which might be happening. Did we miss the Golden Gavel show?
It's 26th
of this month.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any money.
I checked earlier today,
but I missed it last year because I had to work.
Also, Katsucon is this weekend. If anyone does that,
Super R Fight's going to be there.
Oh yeah,
Go see Super R Fight.
I saw them develop like arranging their supplies.
They had posted a picture about like updating their Wheel of Death, and it had all the new Cards Against Humanity. But like, we were at there's like a little local comic show where just people bring like boxes, and I personally really like that show. And I remember a couple years ago you were looking at one issue and it was like, it meant nothing to me, but like you were like really eyeing it. I think there were 2 of them.
Was the Thor one?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the first time Thor was in his own book, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because Thor appeared in Journey into Mystery, and he was basically a star of Journey into Mystery, and then eventually they changed it over to The Mighty Thor. But like, it didn't restart at number 1. The numbering stayed the same, and Journey into Mystery became Thor. And that in itself like makes it a key issue, I feel. Which is the first one and the last one. And plus, I've been looking for one to try and get for a friend as a gift. But yeah, I went to a friend's tag sale years ago, and I brought a girl I was dating, and he had some comics, and I was looking at his comics. And so I started pulling stuff out of this box, and I was like, well, this one's the first black suit of Spider-Man, and like this one's the first this one's that. And I was pulling out this couple key issues, and I just wanted those. And the girl was like, how do you know this?
I just do. How do you not?
And when you're into something, when it becomes your hobby, you just learn. You recognize things, which also can play to your faults. Like I said, I bought what I thought was a first appearance of Banshee because I recognized the cover, not realizing it was a reprint. Whereas, like, you know, recognizing, well, that's the first time a character interacts with the title. Because you end up being so into it. You read the comic blogs or news sites, and they'll have, like, the top 15 or the top these. Or you'll scan Comics Price Guide or something and see what's hot and what's expensive, or if the price has changed or something like that. Because there's all different reasons to collect. And one of the things I try to explain to people when they're like, well, my friend wants to get into, or my son wants to get into collecting, what do you recommend? I'm like, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, just find a story you like and follow the story. We've talked about this a bunch of times. Like, our friend John will buy a comic, fold it in half, and put it in his back pocket because it's entertainment to read like a magazine, and maybe someday he'll dispose of it. Whatever. Yeah. I can't do that. This might be money because I'm greedy. Or I'm a speculator, and I'll buy the thing for its value. But I also buy books for its entertainment purpose. So, yeah, there's things that I buy for its monetary value, or to display, or because it's hard to find, or because it might be important someday.
Yeah, I mean, when I bag and board, you know, after I finish reading Green Lantern later tonight, and I toss it in a bag and board, I'm not putting it in that bag and board because I think it's going to be worth something someday. I'd say 95% of my collection is worth cover value or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like, I don't have a lot of rare stuff. And I think my most valuable book, I mean, you know, talking like straight up, like if it was graded like in like mint condition, would probably be worth, you know, like $150, like unslabbed.
You said graded.
Yeah, I switched, like I was switching because then I remember that graded hypothetically increases the value. But like, I don't have a valuable collection, and yet I still bag and board every single issue that I own.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's just like it's my collection.
It's a way to keep it clean
Yeah.
and crisp and not get damaged.
Yep. And I can show it off to that one person a year who might be like, wow, you have a lot of comic books. And I'm like, I really don't. But to someone who doesn't own any, it might seem like a lot. You know, I remember I still have my original comic box, which I accidentally bought a magazine box. But like, I remember when it was just that one comic box next to my computer.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have a rack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I have the metal rack that's full, and I'm like, oh shit, if I get one more comic box, I have nowhere to put it. And I already need another box. Like it's gotten to the point where I have enough comics to fit one type of comic into one box, like with my back issues, with my backlist, not my current reading boxes. Like I used to just have them all alphabetical. Now, for the most part, it's alphabetical, but I also have my Batman box.
Right.
And I have my Green Lantern box, which I actually need to either buy a long box or a second Green Lantern box because I have so much fucking Green Lantern.
I have this here nifty clipboard.
On what's in what box.
Yeah, because mine are not alphabetical. Mine are more themed. It's right here.
Is that a D&D character sheet on the back? Of the second page. Flip it.
Oh, I'm working on it.
Is it? Totally is.
Yep, it is.
I knew it.
Who is that? Anyway,
Don't worry about it.
I'm really curious though.
But like, as far as collecting goes, so you kind of touched on one of the things that I wanted to touch on, like buying books in the hopes that they'll be worth money, because it's like the stock market. Like you're not going to know if it's like. I think there's been 2 times where I bought a number 1, and I was like, oh man, this is a number 1. I'm going to snag this issue. And it was actually worth more than cover price later. I bought Thief of Thieves, number 1. And I was like, hey, it's Kirkman. He's putting out a new book. I'll buy it, whatever.
Yeah.
It's worth, like, according to Comics Price Guide, like $70, if that. I think it actually decreased in value recently. I don't know if the show got postponed or something, because I think they were making a TV show.
Right.
But, like, buying books in the hopes of them becoming valuable, do you think that goes, like, against, like, the reason for comic books?
No. It's because it's a finite production system, I guess. Just because it's also tailored to the collector mindset and the culture. Because there's other things that are not collected. Like how much is Beyonce's first album worth?
Right.
Like, does it matter?
Are there like first pressings of it? I mean, I know
Destiny's
for
Child.
records, like way back in the day, they're like first pressings and original pressings and shit like that. But like a CD,
Yeah, exactly. Like
I never even would imagine a CD would be worth money. That thought is literally until 10 seconds ago has never crossed my mind. Like, oh, I wonder if this album that I own on CD or cassette is worth money.
Right. Because there's so many of it made. Well, there's like millions of copies because she's infinity platinum.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of a term there. Whereas like comics, it's 40,000, maybe 80,000 for some, and then you don't know where the story is going to go. So the buying it to predict its value.
Like, oh, hey, there's a lot of buzz around it. Like, I remember when Saga came out, there was a lot of buzz around it.
Yeah.
And then, especially when people started reading it, I remember everyone was talking about it. I was like, what is this book? I'd never read Brian K. Vaughan.
That's what I haven't heard. It's still so new, though. Like, it's only up to issue 43?
Can't remember. But, like, the first issue is worth a little bit of money.
But along with its, its gaps in between printing.
Yeah.
Because they take some time off. It's older than it would seem compared to books that have been printing, nonstop. But like what I don't see is like first appearance of the Will, first appearance of Lion Cat,
and that's one of the not necessarily downsides of like an Image book, just because it's creator owned. Like, I think Invincible has a couple like the first appearance of Rex, the Teen Team,
the Mahler twins.
Yeah, but like. You don't really hear the first appearance of the Will.
Yeah.
Like, does it warrant it? The the story could end soon. It's the first appearance of the Great Machine. Yeah, okay. Well, the whole book's about him.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Imagine if he wasn't his first issue.
By the way, if you haven't read Ex Machina, Jesus Christ, just.
But I think that way when I buy original art,
Mm-hmm.
which now we're getting onto a different topic. But it's the kind of thing where I feel like sometimes it's unfortunate to the artist who tries to make a living off of selling the original art. Because as we say, when there's a lot of kitchen in an Invincible issue,
Right.
It's like the artist isn't going to do as well selling pages of Mark talking to his mom. Pages of Mark fighting Conquest are going to fly. They're going to, upcharge those things. And so
Saga
that
started in 2012. 2012. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Issue 1's worth $150. First printing. I have a third, I think.
I don't know.
$8.
I've had a friend who's been on the show has sneered while calling me a speculator because I bought 6 issues of #1 of Revival.
Oh, no way.
Because I heard that was going to be a big thing.
Uh-huh.
And so I bought him a bunch of at cover price. And he's like, effing speculator, what are you doing? And it was he lost respect for me a little bit.
Right. Hey, man, I bought...
now you get to reorder more.
I mean, #1...
I ended up selling those for $10 a piece.
Depending on which cover you got, some of them are, for #1, worth a couple bucks. According to comicspriceguide.com here. But I remember when the Infinite came out, there were 2 covers. I bought them both. It's Rob Liefeld and Robert Kirkman on a book. I mean, Robert Kirkman, guy, everything he makes is gold. Not even Rob Liefeld can fuck this up. And then 3 issues later, we had an incomplete story and an $8 trade.
And even then, if it's the type of story that comes from the big 2, you don't know how long the creators are going to be on that comic.
No.
So oh man, they just made Moon Knight awesome, and Moon Knight's awesome for 6
God,
issues.
He was so awesome.
And now it's a different creative team. You're I don't really care anymore.
Yeah,
that's a shame. Or like we said, the story could call for the death of a character, but then a new creative team comes on, and the writer's like, I want to work with Colossus again, so let's bring him back from the dead. It's well, the price of your Death of Colossus, is that going to go down, or is that going to stay the same?
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to tell. Occasionally, you could... I know Bleeding Cool sometimes report on these things if someone's paying attention.
Yeah.
I recall them reporting on when everyone's issue of the first appearance of Negasonic Teenage Warhead went up.
Because of the movie?
It didn't go up a lot. It went up by 50 cents. But then suddenly the issues that there were disappeared. They got either taken down so they could change the price, or they got bought up. Because someone thought that's good. Yo, she's going to be in the Deadpool movie.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to make bank.
People are going to go bonkers. It's every time someone shows up in The Walking Dead, their issue skyrockets.
Mm-hmm.
Issue 100 wasn't worth dick for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't worth anything.
Right.
And I remember I was like, well, there's a death of a major character.
Mm-hmm.
New, first, new character shows up. It's... I was like, okay, maybe that'll... I bought a bunch of the covers because they had a shitload of covers. I bought the special, foil wraparound cover.
A through F?
There were so many. It's gotten to the point where on Comics Price Guide, it goes into double letters.
AA and B?
Yeah, AA and B. Yeah, because there's so many versions of issue 1.
100?
Of 1.
Oh, yeah.
But issue 100 gets into it, too.
The weekly?
Walking Dead Weekly on Comics Price Guide is its own thing. They have a separate page, but I'm trying to pull up getting an issue to find issue 100 here because it wasn't worth anything for the longest time. To put it into perspective, when on Comics Price Guide, when you do 100 searches per page, you only get to issue 54 for Walking Dead. Get it? Because there's so many issues of number 1.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But like, let's see here. Where's 100? Issue 100's up to $60.
Huh.
Like a year ago, it was cover.
Mm-hmm.
But like even like issue 99, God, even like 97, $24, 98, $20, 99, like 98A second printing is worth more than the first printing. Okay, so issue 97,
Yeah.
this is all in Comics Price Guide, worth $8. Issue 97A, $24, the second printing.
Huh.
Okay, so issue 98, $20, 98A, the second printing, $24.
Was there-
Same thing with 99. The second printing is worth $30. First printing is worth $10. Do you know why?
Was there a smaller run? What? I don't
On the second printing of each one has a different picture of Negan.
It's new art?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So like on issue 97, it's a guy with a chainsaw.
Oh, okay.
Issue 97A, the second printing, it's the very end of Negan's baseball bat.
Okay.
But Negan's on it.
Uh-huh.
It's worth more. I guess technically you could say like 97A would be the first appearance ever of Negan.
Would it be a cameo?
Right. Well, like it doesn't it does say for issue 100, it says first Negan, Death of Glenn, cover A by Charlie. It's up to $60. Holy shit!
I should have said that in nerd voice.
You should have said that in nerd voice. I don't know what you're thinking.
I wanted Joe to keep listening.
True, but like, you know, that was in, I don't even know what year that was, but that was what, 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it was around the time when we first started, I think. Ish. I know we were doing it in my basement at that point. But like, it's amazing how a character, essentially what got us onto that conversation was a character showing up in the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, skyrockets because we saw him on TV. Same thing with Michonne. Remember that?
I bought her slabbed issue.
I'd say for a deal. I'd say you.
Did I tell you how much I paid for that?
I think you hinted. I don't think you've ever told me. But compared to what it's worth, especially slabbed, because yours is a 9.8, right?
I have to check.
I think it's a 9.8. I'm pretty sure it is. But like,
I don't remember.
especially at the time, I don't know what the price is of it now. Let's go take a. Oh, I closed Comics Price Guide.
That's okay. We don't need people to listen to us.
We're just talking about Walking Dead all day. But like, one of the other things that I had come up that I wanted to talk about is what makes you, what in your mind lets you justify spending a lot of money on a book, and like, what's the end game? You know, do you spend a lot of money on a book so that you can resell it, or so you can say you own it? So like when, like I said, you know, that one person a year comes over and you can say, yo, check it out. This is the first time.
I have done that.
Yeah, me too. Every time. And like the people I tell, they feign interest. You know, they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then I put it back in its box for me to show someone next year. You know, or I can look at it and like check its value on a Comics Price Guide in 8 months.
This is the first time someone calls Wolverine by his name Logan.
God damn it.
It's really important.
But like, you know, ultimately, like what the end game, you know, when I snatched, when Charlie sold me Invincible #1.
It is a 9.8.
I knew it was a 9.8.
Yeah.
I knew it. You just got really smug. Real smug.
It's my first appearance of Michonne.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were you saying?
I was saying, like, when you know, Charlie sold me his copy of Invincible #1, like, I jumped on that. I didn't even hesitate because I wanted it. I needed to have that book.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with it?
You got to before I did.
It's true. I did.
I got #2.
I'm not saying Charlie likes me more. I mean, I already own #2, so.
Your goal.
But like, you know, I honestly, unless I was in like deep financial, I don't think I'd ever sell it. You know, I'm going to take it out of the comic box every couple months, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to put it back in.
There were times before I bought a house, I was at a store with a friend, and I was like, well, someday when I do obtain a house, like, what can I get for it? And I was looking around, and I was like, I could essentially exchange my first appearance of Punisher for all these appliances. And I could put
You have
like
the first appearance in Punisher?
Yeah.
Did I not know that? Where you're gonna show it to me after we finish?
and it's the kind of thing of like, if I am up to date and know what the price is, like what else could I transfer that into? And so it's like, well, this pieces of paper and these staples with ink on them could get me a really nice refrigerator.
But would you ever part with them?
There would be, yeah.
Is there a price for everything in this room?
Yeah, there is.
That's fair.
It's even you.
That's fair.
Even my own body parts. True story. Missing one of them.
Oh,
Talked about that in Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you can go back and listen. That was a really good episode. But I mean, like you hear the story. Kevin Smith sold his comic book collection to make Clerks. And he bought back, most of it. Blah blah. But like pursuing something that you love, would you part with? Like I've been collecting comics for 8 years, and even then, it feels like I love my collection. Like I'm a big fan. Like I'm proud of my collection that I've amassed in that time. Like I've spent a lot of money on it. Oh hey, Jeremy wants to do a live show of the podcast. Oh, I got to raise money. Let me sell this thing that I've been doing for 8 years in the hopes that this one thing works.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
That's how it goes down sometimes. I mean, I've seen other people have to do that. They're like, well, it's either I'm getting too old or I just got married and have to move in.
Yeah.
Or like you start having a child and like what was your collectibles room now is going to be the nursery. And so it's like you've got another life to afford, so they might as well get rid of the collectibles. That's two birds with one stone.
In Parks and Rec, Jen Barkley,
yeah,
the like the campaign manager, like
yeah.
Season 7 Jen Barkley is me. When she shows up to the Leslie and Ben's house like in the poncho. And like she's like, they're like, why are you in a pot? Because everything in your house is sticky, and like whenever she sees kids, she's like, your life is gross. My life is amazing. She's like, because I can do whatever I want because I don't have kids. And hey, man, if you want kids, that's your prerogative. But I really enjoy not having kids. And like I know that my office, my comic room, will never be a nursery. I'm cool with that. I'm down with that. I'm glad I have a partner that agrees with that. I'm not saying kids are stupid. Not saying kids are bad. If you want kids, have kids.
I've had a friend get mad at me because I made some comments that I thought was jokey. Because a friend comments, it's like, "Hey, the Wiggles are going to get back together and do a show in a bar. Let's go." And and then thinking about kids. Now I was like, "Yeah, well, I can do whatever I want. I can leave the house for a week if I want to. I can go away. I can spend whatever I want. I can sleep for 10 hours. And then like a friend of mine who has like 3 kids like got up my ass about it. And I kind of felt bad. And I respond with, well, I don't have anything to love me.
Ouch. That hit.
I get to sit here and be alone in quiet. And, I don't have things around me that care about me all the time. So you're one up on me on that. Congratulations.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those to each their own. I try not to rip on people like, oh, why would you have a kid? One of my best friends just had a baby. Baby is fucking adorable. Absolutely adorable. Like, I'm super happy for him and his wife. And like, part of me, like, I felt like a dick. I was like, oh, god damn it, I'm never going to see him anymore. But like, ultimately, like, they have a family now. Like, I know I have my family. I have a dog. That's close to a kid I'm ever going to get. Dogs are exhausting, by the way. But at least I can call my dog like a fucking idiot. Not have to worry about like the dog repeating itself or telling people about it. I don't know. I'm cool with not having kids, but we just got oddly deep. Anyways,
well, here,
if anyone's still listening,
if we're playing to our audience, there's a chance there's other geeks or counterculture and collectible people and into things who have had the same thoughts, the same conversations. So,
and I'm sure there are a bunch of them who both have kids and could maintain their geek, their just because it doesn't mean you have to get rid of everything. Doesn't mean obviously your life's going to change.
I just realized I've been okay so far, having a niece, and also getting to keep my machete hanging on the wall.
Exactly. We make sacrifices.
She gets to come visit, and nothing's going to happen.
So collecting comic books.
How are we on time?
Oh, we're about out.
One more quick thing.
Do it.
Super quick. Normally, we don't get political.
It's true.
I just want to...
We'll crack the occasional joke.
I just want to touch on this one
Talk
thing
about
real
kids.
quick. So I don't know if you've noticed, but Donald Trump has this aggressive handshake. It's kind of awkward when he shakes...
Oh, yeah, the jerk.
Yeah, he shakes hands with people, and he kind of gives this yank so the hand isn't close, tight to him, and it's always like a surprise to whoever's shaking his hand. People say, well, it's showing dominance, it's like showing you who's in charge, it's a way of physically doing a thing, in body posture. Okay, whatever. So, artist, comic book guy, Bill Sienkiewicz, had stated on Twitter that he will produce a free character sketch for anyone who can reverse the Donald Trump handshake and counter it and give that yank back to him, because occasionally what happens he kind of throws people off balance. And so Bill Sienkiewicz isn't just any guy. He's been in the comic book business since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he's currently 58. He's been doing amazing art. If you look up his Wikipedia, there's easily 30 years of awards attributed to his name. The Eagle Award, Inkpot Award, Eisner Award, just ton. He's been tons of art, all companies, Marvel, DC, everything. He's a legend. He's literally a comic book legend. And he offered up a free piece of art to anyone who gave that handshake back to Trump to throw him off balance. And the day that he posted it, it happened because Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada,
he did a real good handshake. I saw the GIF. Have you seen the GIF?
Yeah.
Yep.
Not only did he gave it a stop with the shoulder block, he was able to give some reverse. And let's see. Looks like on Twitter, Michael Johnson freeze framed it and broke it down.
Mm-hmm.
And Sienkiewicz is this is great. I'm watching the freeze frame. It's like a Zapruder film. I don't know what that is. And he's Trudeau wins. I'm just got to contact him and see what character he wants. It's so I'm glad Bill Sienkiewicz is true to his word. But Justin Trudeau doesn't need to pay for a sketch.
Trudeau's he's a liberal cuck. He's just another cuck.
He's an amazing
just
man.
liberal.
He seems fantastic. Everyone loves him.
By the way, I'm going to vow never to say the word cuck again.
It sounded disgusting just saying it.
I hate that word. It's lost all meaning.
The comment on Bleeding Cool was, it's going to be someone from Alpha Flight because Canadians are predictable.
Jesus.
Just start making Snowbird now. But I thought that was cool. Comics and politics kind of.
Look up the GIF. He does that and look up the GIF of the handshake before and see how he jerks people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see Trudeau and he
Yeah.
Yep.
He saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have to say
Joe
about that.
Trudeau.
Joe.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Sean Spicer or whatever his name is.
Oh, did he?
He called him Joe Trudeau.
All right. Let's not get too far into this
Mm-hmm.
so we don't lose listeners.
Yeah. Love politics. Love it. We're in a literal hell right now. Hey, everything's great. 4 years. 4 years minimum of this shit.
But comic books.
Comic book collecting and babies and Trump.
This has been a weird episode.
It has been a weird episode, but I like comic books and I like talking about comic books with you and I like looking at your collection.
It's kind of in disarray right now.
Hey, man. That's I don't know. Like sometimes like I'll sit on the floor and I'll just look through my shit. I'll pull a box down and be like, "What's in here?" I remember buying that. God, I was stupid. But I bagged it and I boarded it and I threw it in the box.
That's why I've got the other pile for the ones to get rid of.
In alphabetical order. You know.
Even though I have the program of Collector Z to look at all the books and every cover I have, it's still fun to open the box and flip through.
Yeah.
To do file fingers.
Yep. Yep.
And just flip through.
It's just
And be like, "Ooh, what's that?" I have
exactly.
that? That's a good cover. I forget how good these covers to Secret Six were.
Yeah. Yep. It's just I don't know, it's fun. It's neat. I like collecting these funny books with the pictures and the... Like I said, I mean, 99% of my collection is worthless. Like, just cover price, whatever. The stories, for the most part, are pretty good. I like them. I have a couple books that are worth a couple bucks, you know, that I'm proud of. Whether I've found them at shows or if I managed to buy them off the rack and then they turned valuable. Edge of Spider-Verse, number 2.
Do you consider them valuable inside your head? Because you've consumed a story. Maybe it's made you think. You've looked at aesthetically pleasing artwork.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, in a way. Like, I guess it's a little more rare for me to like really, holy shit, that was a great book. Whoa, it's also worth a shitload of money. You know, like, I guess that would probably, the best example would probably be Saga. You know? But like,
there's definitely stuff I buy because I just want to have a complete set.
Yeah.
I want to have the full run. But there's stuff I buy because I want to read the story. So like, I might not care what the condition is because it's the story that matters. Whereas there's ones I bought for value that I'm never going to open.
Yeah. Yep. Probably a bunch right there, right next to me.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the Fantastic Four issue.
The one with Gorgon?
Maybe because it's Gorgon. But
yo,
like,
can we discuss that?
What?
The Fantastic Four logo. Like the original Fantastic Four
hasn't
logo.
changed?
Well, like, I love it.
Yeah.
The font that it's written in.
It's really weird.
It's out of nowhere. Like X-Men with the 3D and it's on the angle.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the X-Men logo. Like, but like that Fantastic Four, I love it.
The specific Avengers kind of... I don't think there's one up there right now, but...
I don't see one. But like Spider-Man, has the curve, you know, like... I don't know, I really dig the old Fantastic... Like, and I don't think I've ever read a Fantastic Four book. Like, I don't think I've read...
You know who has a good eye for that stuff? John. Our friend John.
What do you mean?
When I was putting the labels on my boxes. So my boxes, I've taped like a picture to it or like a label. So
helps
like,
identify.
Yeah. So like instead of saying box number 5 or like writing on a Captain America, I just printed out a picture of the shield and I taped that to the box. So I could look at the shield, that's the image, it's the picture, I know it's Captain America box. So I was doing some others, and I didn't know what to make for the Avengers one, because I want to have like a different one for what I see on the side and what's on the lid. And John's like, "Oh, we'll do like the original Avengers font." And I was like, "What?" And he like just pulls up on his phone. He's like, "That specific type of image and that font and like that the way it's it's drawn." And like it's like iconic. It still tells you what it is, but it's not the more modern, blocky, like kind of angled one.
Yeah.
And he just has an eye for how these layouts go. It's interesting. He's really big into classic stuff, though. So
He is. Yep.
yeah.
I can vouch. Comics. I like them. Okay. I guess we can finish.
Okay.
Just gotta. I guess we can stop rambling. No, I just want to look through your comics. So, okay, we're gonna end so I can go look through your valuable stuff, and you can show me your first Punisher.
Okay.
Alex,
I mean, I don't have that here at my house.
Yeah,
It's
Alex doesn't keep his.
It's at a storage container.
Alex doesn't keep his valuable books.
No.
It's like Ron Swanson and his gold.
It's buried.
I've since moved it. But yeah, that'll do it. Alex, thanks for coming on this week. It was
Thanks
a lot
for
of
having
fun. Oh man, who's coming on next week? I can't remember. I don't know. We got fun people lined up, and I'm pretty excited. Anyways, that was my 1 second hype up. Alex, this is fun. Let's do it again sometime. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So until next time, I'm JR.
I'm Alex.
This has been episode 257. Oh, did I get to all my questions? I guess I did. Yeah. Of opinions may vary. I had questions written out that I had for the thing.